Hi, it's Greg again. Thought I would do one more video. I did the unboxing and the assembly videos on the tall cabinets. I've been through a bunch more cabinets in the meantime, and today I'll be installing the wall cabinet, which in the 17-piece unit you get 6 of these guys. So I'm on my 4th one now, and through the magic of video, I've already got it unboxed here, and then repeat what I said before. The most important thing what you do, step 1, is just set yourself up with a good environment where you can work. These things are packed pretty well. There's styrofoam and things like that on the inside to protect them. We've got our top, which is the A. We've got our bottom, which is the B. We've got our 2 side panels, which are the C. And then your top and your spanners in the back, which are D and E. We got a middle shelf, which is H, and a back panel, which is G. I don't know where the F is. It's probably just another. That's right. 3 cabinets that have D, E, and F on the back spanners. So for consistency, they kept the same. So thought we'd go ahead and go through that. Here's our instructions, which you want to follow very closely if you haven't done this before. But inside the hardware pack, there's our F. It's the wall bracket that holds the cabinet on the wall if you use that. We also have our hardware kit, and I really like the idea of this hardware kit. It keeps everything together. You can see right off the get-go whether you have any missing parts, which I had none of. And then you have your 2 handles, which are, again, just impressed with the quality of this ULTI-Mate stuff. It's very, very heavy-duty stuff. And then we've got our hinges inside of this pack with the screws, and these are self-closing, soft-close hinges. And then we got 2 extra of these little guys. These are the guys that are inside of here. You don't need them unless you're missing them. They're the ones that are actually inside the wood panel there. And then the door lock stuff. So just for review's sake, I'm going to go over it again. This is the process of how these things go together. We're going to be putting these metal dowels into these holes here. And we're going to be taking these cams and putting them into these holes here. And when we assemble the panel, what's going to happen is the metal dowel and the cam will go together like that right there, and then you'll set the screw to set it in place. So what is particularly important on these is that you make sure you that these metal pieces are flush, and if they aren't flush, you take it and just take I think it's a 3/16 Allen wrench, and just tighten it back up so that it becomes flush, and that gives you real tight seams if you do that. So our next step right now is we're going to take all of these cams, take them out of the packaging, disassemble the set screw from them so that we don't have any problems putting it together. We're going to put all our metal dowels in, and we'll be back in about 5 minutes after we've had a chance to do all those things. So we've taken apart the packaging, taken out all those cams, put them, disassembled them, so now we just have these set screws here. We've got all our wood dowels in. One thing I'll mention about that, no screwdrivers, no power tools, all hand tight on this, because you can actually change the depth like I showed you before. The cams are pretty simple. They have a little slot right there. That slot needs to point directly towards the edge. So you want to line it up perfectly and then push it down. There might be some wood inside, so you want to blow that out first, and then just if you need to straighten it up at the last minute, you can use a little handy dandy dime. With that said, I'm going to veer away from the instructions a little bit right now. We're going to do something different. I found that it's a little easier to put these hinges on while everything's nice and flat up here instead when they're doing that way. So we'll do a quick hinge install. I do the round holes first. The round holes will allow you to then center that up very nicely. If you have a little, don't over tighten, if you have a little hand power screwdriver like this, it's very, very useful. One of the things that impressed me was the quality of the hardware on these things. These are self-closing hinges, and so they will actually close by themselves when they have a door on and do a soft close. So That said, it's now time to assemble our box. This is where having this layout, you know, there's two side panels and your top and back spanners. So this is, you know, with the big cabinets, I said it was a two-person job, you know, and this is actually a fun project you could probably even do with your kids. Nothing difficult here. This is a one-person job for the most part. But let's go ahead and put the back spanner on. This is the bottom. Very important to put these cams on the outside so that they're not on the inside of the cabinet. And that's pertinent because this one actually has that bevel inside of there. So again, like that. Then we're going to take our other side panel, and I'm going to drop it on right here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's now put this on its side so that we can get to those cams. And we're going to put in 4 cams. 1, 2, 3, 4. These should also go in with a manual screwdriver, not a power screwdriver, because if you use a power screwdriver, it's very easy to strip these things out. So just hand tight on these. If you've done your height adjustment correctly, then you should get nice tight seams in here. Everything should go together really smoothly. Oops. They give you just enough cams and set pieces, so make sure you're good about your piece management, because if you lose one, you're pretty much SOL. There's places you can make it up. You can do things like not put one in the top panel or something like that. But okay, so that went pretty smoothly. Now, I've made a couple mistakes on doing these where I've assembled it and I wasn't careful about what my top and what my bottom, what my front and what my back was. They look symmetrical, but there's small changes inside the cabinet that are very important. One of them is our bottom panel. Now, the other place where I veered away from the instructions is this right here. This is the lock assembly. Normally you don't put that on till the very end. I found that if you put it on now, you'll avoid a couple of mistakes. One is getting this back panel reversed backwards and forwards. This side isn't drilled for holes, this side is. The other one is putting the bottom panel on the top. You don't want to do that either. So by setting that up that way, it makes it very easy to go, here's our bottom, here's our top. There's our front, there's our back. And we take it now and just drop it in like that right there for the bottom. It's gonna go here in a second. There we go, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then here's our top panel. Again, here's the wood dowels, they go in the middle. And the top panel goes in just like this. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and put in the cam position, the cam pieces inside of here, and get that all assembled, and we'll come back and finish up our install onto the wall and everything else. So we've moved from the workbench and we're now over on the wall for the installation. A lot easier if you don't have to hold this thing up, or if you have to mount the brackets. Just figure out a way to get it up there. I also don't recommend necessarily using the bracket that they give you. It does make it easier for the big tall cabinets where something like this. If you can get your way into studs, a whole lot easier. This is meant to provide a bracket like that. There's a panel that goes in front of that so you don't see that ugliness, but the two different ways you can install. You can even put this directly into the studs, but to tell you the truth, this is the way I prefer to do it. So I've got myself a little countersinking bit, and let's go ahead and hit. I've pre-located my studs. I know it's right on that shadow line, so let's go ahead and give a quick drill through the back bracket. I'll take and flip this around, make it into a screwdriver, and now, shoot. Do that real quick. cabinet's not going anywhere. So again, preferable if you can get into those studs. This thing I think holds up to 150 pounds if you can get into the studs there. So now that we've done that, let's go ahead and put our back panel on. Back panel does have even though it's 24 by 24 roughly, it does have a right way to go. If it's skinny on the sides and tall on the top, that's the right way. So you drop this right back inside of here. There are 4 screws inside the packet. What I like about this packet is you can cut it open a little bit at a time and just get to the pieces you need. So here's the 4 screws we need. And we're going to put those in a second. I won't bother you with that. And then the other thing you have is you have these mounting brackets right here. So these mounting brackets face that way. And you can just put them in. 1, 2, 3, 4, then goes over the same spot, 4 on the bottom, 4 on the bottom. And then we're going to take our middle shelf, and the middle shelf does have holes for those so that you can actually take the 4 screws they provide, little silver ones that like the ones we use with the hinge, and you can take and put that in and actually secure the bracket. Some nice things about this: 1-inch shelves, not 3/4 inch shelves. Very great finish on them. Extremely sturdy, nothing bows or bends. 5mm shelving clips, not 4mm. Very heavy duty. They say 150 pounds. I think, you know, they probably wouldn't recommend it, but I bet you could put 250 pounds in this thing and it would take it. So with that, I'll show you real quick on the packaging, and then we'll take a pause as I put it together. Packaging is done very well. A lot of styrofoam, a lot of protective film to make sure things don't scratch. In fact, they got protective film on top of protective film. So you have to pull from this a protective film that keeps it from being scratched. We'll go ahead and install those door handles and then get ready to do a door install up there and then finish the whole project off in a second, and I'll talk about my experience. Thank you. So our back panel, we got those screws in, installed our other 2 doors, got our base unit out of the way. We're going to do our last door install right here. One of the things I like about putting the doors on last is that these hinges tend to hold the door almost all by itself. A little dangerous here, it could fall off, but if you do this correctly, oops, there goes my screw, making this a kind of a one-man operation. So as soon as you get 1 screw in each one, can you still see? I'm not sure if I'm standing in your way or not. So I got the 17-piece unit, and then I added on one more cabinet. I made some modifications, but I'll tell you, we're getting down to our last 2 wall cabinets here, and I just have been really impressed with the quality of this thing, the handles, the feet, the finish on this is spectacular. This is the white, they call it the sparkly white or something like that, and it's got a plastic coating finish on it. The hardware on the drawers is good. I mean, he went top quality. So I also did one other little modification. I'm a very tall guy. I made the little extra tall on the cabinet, and I also made it as a rolling workbench. But so if you're handy, you can also modify these things, and you can't do that with metal cabinets. So this is my last video. Thank you very much for watching. I hope it was helpful. I made this because I noticed that nobody else had actually made one of these for the ULTI-Mate when I was researching them. So thank you for watching.